So this weekend is the FEI World Championships in Aachen, and I thought we could have a look at the cross-country course ahead of cross-country this weekend. So fence one, really nice. It looks like it's a bit of a downhill run to it, but it's really nice. You just probably, if you're on a keen horse, need to keep them a little bit in their box. Fence two is really nice. Where they've used like the very bright coloured rails, that's quite nice to get the horse just like up in the air and really respecting the fences. The interesting thing about Aachen is it's a really twisty course, like it's very twisty, very turny, so time will probably be a bit challenging in that sense. Again, fence three, really, really nice. Fence four, really, really nice. And then fence five, bam, you got your first combination. Now this comes actually quite soon after fence four, so I think fence four is actually kind of going to be used as a setup fence for this. I think the challenge here will be horses who are being a bit too keen, a bit too speedy, because you've got two very, very skinnies on a curving line downhill, and the second one is a bit blind where they put that fencing, like you can't turn in early, you have to turn in late, and there's probably only one straight stride to that second option, and it is skinny. So I think that's just a challenge of can you keep them in their box early on in the course. There is an alternative route. The alternative route is one extra jumping effort, but it's still really, really skinny. So I don't know if we'll see loads of people take that. It probably will depend if there's anyone struggling with control. And then six, I don't love this, but I'm sure it'll jump really nice. It's just a chicaner. I just don't like the colouring of it. Number seven, that's really, really nice. Number eight, yuck, horrible. Okay. This will ride like a roller coaster, like a proper roller coaster. So you've got a skinny rail, steep downhill, ditch, steep uphill, skinny rail. The challenge here is enough impulsion to get all the way through it, but without too much speed, because if you come in too quick, the risk is that they won't see the ditch until they've taken off and then drop their back legs on the rail. Then they might have a min pin, or they might start slamming on the brakes in midair, which is not nice as a rider. But you need enough impulsion to get them over the ditch and up over that element on the way out. It will probably ride quite nicely, particularly as it's early on in the course, so you've not got flat-tired horses. It just feels a bit horrible because you're like, ugh. There is an alternative. The alternative is insanely confusing because there's multiple alternative options. And then this is fence nine, so the straight route is this skinny straight onto that skinny there, which I actually think is really nice. Like they're obviously really skinny. The challenge here, which you can't see very well in the photo, is it is in a mound, so you land down and jump out up. So again, it's that same thing. It's can you keep power and accuracy? You can't see it in those photos, but it's almost like a bunker start, not a bunker, but yeah, big old dip in the ground. They have been nice in how they shaped the fence because it kind of like guides the horses in. So it's kind of obvious. You've just got to maintain the power. I'm not going to go through the complicated alternative routes because I would need a minute to figure that out. This is really nice. It's obviously a ditch brush. I don't know if they run downhill to it, but it's a bit like that Blend one. They've put a little brush on the front of the ditch, which means the horses will not even notice that it's a ditch. This will ride like a bit of a steeplechase fence. It doesn't look that big. The colourful pole through the middle is really nice because it means that they won't just brush through all of it. They'll respect it enough to make a proper shape and they won't dive over it. I like that one. This looks really nice. It's part of the water complex. From how that photo is taken, I presume that's on top of a hill. So again, power up to it. The actual jump is tiny, but the hedge adds a lot and it looks like it's a bit of a blind landing. So I think you probably land from that, run downhill to this big old jump into the water. Oh yeah, you can see it there. So jump that, which is pretty decent on landing. So you don't want to jump that huge. And where they've just done the ditch brush, like if their horse is too open and flat, it's going to be a matter of like getting them all together and not allowing them to just jump this the same as the ditch brush. Because you don't want to be going hell for leather into the water. However, that is a very inviting fence into water. Like the guiding rail there is nice. Will keep them off the jump. The bit of brush encourages them to stay forward. They can see the water. So it's that corner to the left, which actually looks like there's loads of time. I'm sure it won't feel like that as a rider, but you want to kind of stay out, turn back into the corner. It's obviously very wide, but if you make a good turn, you keep the right shoulder, that should jump quite nicely. And then you've got D there. So that just looks like it's straight on. So you just jump that and keep going straight on. Okay. That looks really nice. I presume that must be on a weird angle or something, because I don't understand. That looks too easy to just be there. So I presume that they have to jump that on an angle after the corner. There's also a compulsory passage, which is interesting. So to make sure everyone makes up enough time, they have to go through the flags there. Jump massive triple bar, but that again will jump really nicely. This opens them back up and then they come back to the water a second time. That is kind of horrible. Oh, okay, so here you can see the corner to the duck. Yeah, it is on an angle. That's a bit of a challenge, but yeah. I don't like this, yuck. It will jump really nicely, but it just looks really gappy, and where they've taken the hedge off and the rail kind of blends in with the water. Don't love how it looks, but I'm sure that will jump nicely. And then you go, it looks like you jump that and go up the mound in the middle, and then it's an uphill push to that. So yeah, you jump that on a mound, go back into the water, and then you jump the other corner, which we could see. You can't see in any of these photos, but it's over there. It's kind of a similar question. You kind of hope if they jump through the first water, okay, they'll probably jump through that one, okay. That looks nicer to me than the first water, but you've got to have your wits about you. You would not want a horse that had a right hand run out tendency coming to this water, would you? Another compulsory passage, and then a steeplechase. Beautiful. That's so much fun. Love that. Jealous for everyone that gets to ride that. A little owl hole. So interestingly, like, you can't see on the course, but on the course map they like spin back on themselves to this, which is quite nice because it gets them back. This should jump well, unless obviously you've got a horse that's concerned about owl holes, but there's no reason for a horse at this level to not jump there. And it, actually, if you take the roof off, that's a really nice fence. They will be jumping, from the looks of this, from dark into light, and if it's a sunny day, which obviously it's sunny all the time at the moment, that might just affect how the horses read it. That's lovely. And particularly lovely where they've like shaved the bit that you want to jump. That is really inviting for the horses, and again makes them respect it and give it a proper shape. Okay, drop down here to 2 slices. That's a challenge. That's really tough. Interesting, I've not actually seen a roof on a step down before, so that'll be interesting to see how that affects anything, if it does affect anything. From here you can see that's quite a big drop down, or like it's a small drop but then the ground runs away, and then you can't, that's the alternative route. You can see there like the slice on that angle is quite acute. The fact that the flag is slightly behind, it's on the back of the fence, means that it really encourages, again, that right hand run out, because there is that space to the right where you're outside the flag, and you've got to have the control to get to the second one. I think this will be a massive challenge. They've made the long route quite long. You could jump down the step and then do that long route. So we might see some people do that, but I think it's close enough. The step and the jump is close enough that you will kind of have to commit early enough to know what you're going to do. This one I think will catch people out. This will be a really interesting one to watch. Does this go into water, or is it just a big, oh gosh, no. Really nice little log, and then the ground just like disappears from beneath you. So this is, again, it's all about having power but also control. You don't want a horse that's too over exuberant. Oxer, it's far away, isn't it? That's really nice. That's really lovely. The light to dark, I guess, will be a bit interesting, but that's really nice. 20, really nice. 21, really nice. It's a bit of a let up section, really, isn't it? 22, really nice. Are they connected somehow? No, not really. Okay. They're far enough away that they're not really connected, but they're just the same. That's nice. 23 in the water. I mean, that's nice. So you just go through the water, jump it. It's very bright, but it's very nice. Through a passage, and then you've got A, B, C here. So you've got a house, and then quite a big downhill to 2 corners. That's hefty. Finally, we've got a left hand run out. That's some serious angles going on, and basically what's testing that, like, you can't be safe to that first corner, because if you're safe to that first corner and jump it too straight, there's no way you can get a good line to the second. So it's kind of testing, are you brave enough to angle the first corner properly? so that you can make a turn back in for the second corner. You can see again the long route here is super long. That would be another interesting one, and particularly because there's been like, what was that, 4 or 5 let up fences, so it'd be really easy. The horse had an intense section, kind of switched off again. Can they switch back on for this? Back to the water again, to jump in. This should jump really well, particularly now they've been out in and out of the water so many times. So for this one, they've got a jump in there and then a jump out. So I think that will ride really well. I don't think that should cause any issues at all. I don't see there a reason for any horse at that level to struggle with that. 26, really nice. Is that the end? No, no, definitely not. That's really nice. And then just out of nowhere, you're thinking, the horse might be thinking, is that the end? No, you've got bang, 2 proper angled right hand run outs. Again, they've done the exact same thing with the flag. They've set it back they've set it at the back of the jump, so there's a bit of space on the right hand side where the horse could slip out. Yeah, that's a good old challenge to keep yourself smart at the end of the course, isn't it? That'll be interesting. It's a very similar question to the one off the step, but you're not doing it off a step, you're doing it without any setup, which, although the step in some way makes it harder, in some way it makes it easier, because it does, the horse knows at this level they don't normally jump off of a step and then do nothing. They normally know they jump off of a step and have something. Whereas at this point in the course, there is a chance that the horse will be running a bit flat, a bit out. It's the finish, you can see the finish is almost there. So riders who are chasing for time might just not take that extra half second that they should do to set up, might do. This will be interesting. And then the finish jump is lovely, really beautiful, really nice. That will ride really well. I think this will be a really interesting course. I think there's 3 main challenges. I think the step, the double of wooden corners, and that last combination is really challenging. I think the rest should ride quite nicely. I think the time will be incredibly tight. If you look at like the actual map, like you can see it's so twisty turny. If you follow it around, like it really is in and out, round and round. And the fact that you go in and out of water 4 times, yeah, I think that will be the challenge. I think time will be tricky. Hopefully Great Britain does well and brings home the gold.